first game I want to talk about is Pacers Bucks, where Milwaukee all season long has felt like a broken team that doesn't have a great lineup put together. They have shooters,
Mhm.
but the shooters don't bring energy, and their guys with size don't bring versatility. And some of them can shoot, but maybe they can't in these big games consistently be counted on by Giannis. And I felt in the Pacers matchup, it was the perfect example. Giannis starts off the game, goes absolutely ballistic in the first half, finishes with 30 plus, and even still, it was one of the biggest supporting cast mismatches I've seen in recent years between two teams. You have the likes of Miles Turner having a great consistent night, and then role players like Andrew Nemhard, who last year was a big playoff riser in the Pacers conference finals run, hitting shots consistently. And I felt watching the entire game, it's hard to say Giannis is going to be here next season given just how much Milwaukee is lacking. Kyle Kuzma, I mean, one of the craziest trades of the deadline was the Bucks moving Chris Middleton, who last year in the series averaged 25 points on good efficiency coming off injury, and packaging him with AJ Johnson, a pick swap, for a guy in Kyle Kuzma who did not post a single stat last night.
Tony
An
Snell, you're
absolute
saved. You're
it
saved.
was a Tony Snell vintage performance where all he was doing was cardio. And I believe if I'm John Horst looking at that product, and then Doc Rivers, who has the worst media skills in the entire NBA of any coach, lashing out on reporters saying Cal Kuzma can play, defending his player, which I agree with, but kind of showing an emotional, impulsive side to him where it feels defensive. And I feel like for Milwaukee, you're seeing some cracks, which were displayed all year long. And Damian Lillard, to me, is not going to fix much of this.
Yeah, they're in such a tough position. I was talking about it last night on the debate room podcast, and the scary thing with this Bucks team right now, you look at it and it's like, no disrespect to Ryan Rollins, he's starting in a playoff game with Giannis Antetokounmpo on the team. That can't happen. 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers did not have the issue like that of that extreme. So the depth, the top end talent. Of course, Kyle Kuzma, I think we're just kind of seeing at this point of his career, he's a losing player. You can
Mhm.
put him on the Washington Wizards, and he can put up stats. This year he wasn't, which made the trade even more concerning, right? The year
Yeah.
before, he was giving them 22-7 and solid efficiency. This year he was struggling to get 15 on the Washington Wizards, and they still make that swap, and it didn't propel him at all to be on the Milwaukee Bucks. And game one is an absolute shell of himself. That's concerning because he kind of needs to be the Austin Reeves of the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the problem with that game, right? So that's what scares me about the Bucks. It's just they don't have the top end talent, and with the way the modern CBA is built, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're looking at your team missing Damian Lillard with two supermaxes on the roster. It's like missing a lung. So that's problematic. But you look top and down the roster. How do you fix this? They don't have many picks to trade. They don't have many intriguing young players. The most intriguing young player they put in the trade to Washington. So the Bucks, my question for the rest of this series is, one, they have no chance to win without Damian Lillard. But because Indiana plays so fast, and the moment you play, you have to have your cardio up against the Indiana Pacers. How
Mhm.
does Damian Lillard, with the condition he was in recently, how does he just ease into that flow and just save the day for a top-heavy Milwaukee Bucks team?
It counts on the entire supporting cast is bringing more energy. I think that goes with Kuzma and Torian Prince, where you're asking them to be someone and players that they're not in their careers. I mean, Torian Prince shot the cover off the ball this year, but he's not giving you really any value in the defensive end. And that was kind of evident in a game where Tyrese Halliburton goes 3 of 13 from the field, posts 10 points, went 0 of 7 from 3-point land. To me, and those types of matchups where Halliburton is all from downtown, that's where the supporting cast should be at their best when they're stepping up. And even if you're on the road in that tough atmosphere in Indiana, because their crowd was rocking Giannis at the foul line, they're doing the count all the way up to 10. But even at the end of the day, for Halliburton to be as off as he was yesterday, and for that to not matter really at all,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think there's any formula for the Bucks because you look at the roster, there's a decent amount of rotation players. I thought Ryan Rollins was actually solid yesterday
He was
defensively, even
fine,
though
yeah.
he
Yeah, he
wasn't
was fine. He could
shooting
defend.
well, but none of them really click. And there's not enough time in the season for them to machinate the right lineups. And I also don't think Doc Rivers is a great cook with the ingredients that he was given.
Yeah, it's this Bucks team. they're back against the wall for a couple of years now because we saw against in that Miami series a couple years ago that nucleus they had wasn't enough. And they had to pivot. And going for a Damian Lillard for the package it was, I would say it was a pretty calculated move. But doesn't mean that Damian Lillard, who doesn't have a championship or anything past being swept in the conference finals, was going to come in and save the day for the Milwaukee Bucks. So they put a lot on Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo to kind of do everything for them. And their bench isn't enough. The Bucks, the biggest problem is they haven't drafted well. They just haven't. AJ Johnson might be something. He's shown
Yeah.
really good signs this year. But by the time he is something, it'll be past this current window they have. And this year's draft class had a lot of solid day one role players, even in the 20s. And they didn't take one of them. And you look back, who's the best draft pick they made? I mean, in the last few years, is it AJ Green? I mean, it's like seriously, who's the best draft pick that the Bucks have made in the last 5 years?
Yeah, and the picks that they have hit on, they've all let go of. 2016, you get Malcolm Brogdon in the second round. They had to let him go
Dante in
for financial
2018.
reasons. Dante DiVincenzo they let go of because of injuries, and he also was shooting poorly, and they kind of gave up on him at the worst time because then he goes to Golden State and the Knicks, and he starts to blossom. And then most recently, AJ Johnson wasn't a great fit because he was a developmental prospect. He was kind of aligned with a team like the Wizards who would give him a long leash to make mistakes, develop with in-game reps. But once the Bucks made that decision, you're better off sticking with him opposed to buying a car and then selling it right after you drive it out the lot. And that's exactly what John Horst did. And the lack of leverage that he positioned himself with was dumbfounding considering Chris Middleton last year in the postseason. I get the durability concerns, but we see right now with Kawhi Leonard, if you can get a guy to the April and late May parts of a season, forget about the regular season. This is one of the top three duos in terms of chemistry and continuity. Him and Giannis clicked. And I feel like to have to add multiple assets to swap Middleton for Kuzma is a move that gets a GM fired.